Hung once promised Hoai Ka, "I will take you and Tony back home, a place where you can live in peace, where Tony can grow up in the arms of family." That promise Hoai Ka had engraved deep in her heart. Not just because it was the final ray of light in the midst of dark days, but because she believed in Hung, the man who once without hesitation reached out to her and her child when no one else was there. Yet time kept passing. Hung was busy with work, with unfinished projects, and with debts he had yet to repay. Hoai Ka began to worry. She asked herself, does he still remember that promise from long ago? Or was it all just a fleeting comfort? The early morning sunlight streamed down onto the melon field, where Hoai Ka was bent over picking each ripe fruit one by one. Her old conical hat shaded half her face, while beads of sweat dripped from her forehead, soaking through her shirt. The veins in her hands stood out clearly, marks of effort, of days spent struggling to survive. Ba Bei had often tried to dissuade her. "A girl working in the fields like this, no one will care for you. Just stay home and help with housework." But Hoai Ka only smiled faintly without replying. She knew no one could truly understand why she accepted such hard labor simply because she needed money. A little to raise Tony, a little in case they returned home one day, and a little so she wouldn't feel like a burden in this already poor household. While she was still hunched over selecting the largest, roundest melons, the distant sound of a motorbike echoed across the fields. A familiar figure sped past on the narrow dirt road. It was just a fleeting moment, but Hoai Ka suddenly froze. Her heart skipped a beat. That motorbike, that figure. Was it Hung? She looked up, eyes following the bike as it disappeared behind a row of bamboo trees, leaving only a cloud of dust drifting in the golden sunlight. Hoai Ka stood motionless, still holding a melon covered in dirt. A breeze swept through, carrying with it a flood of memories. She remembered the early days when she first met Hung. Tony was barely over a year old, and she had been like a withered leaf tossed about in life's current. Hung had come quietly, but sincerely. He didn't say much. He simply helped, offering food, finding her work, and giving warmth she hadn't felt in a long time. She remembered the first time Tony called him Dad, a soft, lisping voice that brought tears to her eyes. Hung had hugged the child tightly and nodded. "Yes, it's Dad. Dad will always be here." Those evenings, the three of them shared dinner. Hung telling stories, Tony giggling. Those simple moments were to Hoai Ka like a beautiful dream. But that dream didn't last. Tragedy struck sudden and cruel. Hung's mother, who had long disapproved of their relationship, had hired someone to harm her. An accident that seemed incidental, but was in fact premeditated. Hoai Ka survived narrowly, but the wounds inside never fully healed. After that, she had no choice but to leave Hung, taking Tony to stay with Ba Bei, an old acquaintance in the countryside. The small rundown house with its decaying roof at least offered safety. She lived in constant fear, wary of every sound, every unfamiliar glance. As for Hung, he hadn't abandoned her. Even though it was his mother who caused the harm, Hung still tried everything to stay in touch, to send money to take care of her and Tony. But he too was struggling with debts his mother had left behind, with unfinished projects, with the pressure of being torn between love and duty. "Once I take care of everything, I'll bring you and Tony back. I promise. We'll live the peaceful life we dreamed of." Those were the words he once spoke over the phone on a sleepless night when Tony had a fever and Hoai Ka sat up worrying. More than a month had passed since then. Hung still hadn't returned. There were only brief phone calls, hurried messages. He said he was arranging things, said he just had a few more issues to resolve, and then he'd come back. But reality was harsher than they had imagined. The debts kept piling up, his mother remained firmly opposed, and Hoài Ca continued to live each day in uncertainty. Her eyes always glancing toward the gate, waiting for something that might never come. She placed the melon into the basket and sighed. She didn't blame Hung. She understood he was torn in many directions. But sometimes in the quiet of night, while Tony lay sleeping, she would ask herself, will that promise really come true? The motorbike earlier, maybe it was Hung, maybe not. But whoever it was, that fleeting moment stirred something vital in her hope. Fragile, faint, yet it was the one thing that kept her going every single day. She would keep picking melons, keep living, keep raising Tony, and keep believing that one day Hung would come, not through a phone call, not through a message, but truly appear, arms outstretched to hold her and their son and say, let's go home. The motorbike came to a stop in front of the small old tiled house at the end of the village. Hung stepped off, his heart stirred with emotion. It had been more than a month since he last saw Hoài Ca and Tony. Each passing day had been a battle for work, for debt, and for the endless ache of longing. The wooden gate, now weathered and faded, still evoked a deep sense of familiarity in him. Hung gently pushed it open and stepped into the yard. The scent of straw, of countryside breeze, of firewood smoke lingered in the air. Everything felt both comforting and bittersweet. Ba Bei was washing vegetables on the porch. Seeing the figure of a stranger, she looked up. But once she recognized Hung, a gentle smile lit her face. "Oh, Hung, is that you, son? Good heavens, it's been so long since you came back here." Hung bowed respectfully, his voice polite, yet tinged with emotion. "Yes, hello, Ba Bei. I came to visit Hoài Ca and Tony." Bei Bei put down the basket of greens, wiped her hands on her apron, and replied, "She left early this morning to the melon field, wants to get the harvest ready for the afternoon market. As for the boy, he went off to school. He's got a math test today, stayed up all night studying for it, poor thing." Hung nodded slightly, his gaze dimming with a quiet heaviness. He looked around the house. Everything was still familiar. Then, "May I stay for a while and wait for Hoài Ca? I'd really like to see her." "Of course, sit down. Have something to drink. I brewed some ginger tea, good for the stomach." Ba Bei poured the tea while Hung settled onto an old rattan chair on the porch. Thin wisps of fragrant steam rose from the cup, warming him and softening some of his weariness. A moment later, Ba Bei sat down across from him, studied him for a while, then gently asked, "How are you holding up these days? Is everything any better now? I heard your mother ran into trouble too. All kinds of debts and such." Hung hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, things are somewhat better now. I've cleared the major debts, just a few smaller ones left to manage. I've pulled out of a few projects too to lighten the load." "Well, that's good to hear. I was really worried when I heard what happened, especially that day, when Hoài Ca was almost hurt." At the mention of it, Hung's eyes turned red. He clenched his fists, his voice strained. "I never imagined it would go that far. I can never forgive my mother for what she did, but I don't want to hold on to bitterness. I just want to make things right for Hoài Ca and Tony." Ba Bei looked at the young man before her and could see the sincerity, the pain in his eyes. She nodded softly. "I know. You love that girl, I've always seen it. Poor thing, she never blamed you, but she cries in secret every night. And Tony, his eyes light up every time someone mentions you. Hung pressed his lips together, his gaze drifting toward the small dirt road leading out to the fields. I'll bring them home. Very soon. Just a few more days and I'll be done. This time I won't make them wait any longer. I'm here to keep my promise. Then he turned to Babe and bowed deeply. I know your family has cared for Hoài Ca and Tony during their hardest times. I don't know how to express my gratitude except to say thank you. I only ask that you let them stay here a few days more. Once I finish clearing everything, I'll come get them. And by then, I'll finally be able to give them the life they deserve. Babe placed a gentle hand on Hung's shoulder, her voice warm and kind. Don't worry. No one here will ever turn their back on those two. I'll take good care of them. As long as you keep your word and treat them well, that's all that matters. Hung nodded, his eyes misting over. The two of them sat in silence for a while, broken only by the wind rustling the eaves, the whisper of leaves in the trees. Somewhere in the distance, the faint sound of children being dismissed from school echoed through the countryside. The sun had dipped westward, casting deep golden streaks of evening light across the dirt yard in front of Babe's house. In the distance, Hoài Ca's figure appeared on the dusty road. Her conical hat shaded her face, but her weary steps and the sweat-dappled shoulders of her shirt revealed a long day spent in the melon fields. As she reached the gate, she stopped. There, sitting on the porch, was someone waiting Hung. No surprise, no shock. She had sensed it. That motorbike that sped past in the morning, and the quiet stirring in her chest had told her so. Yet even with that quiet expectation, her heart fluttered a feeling that mixed joy with caution. Hung stood up immediately when he saw her. His face revealed clear concern as he noticed the exhaustion in hers. He walked toward her quickly. Are you okay? You look tired. Why didn't you take a break after working in the fields? Hoài Ca nodded faintly and set the basket of melons down. She removed her hat, wiped the sweat from her brow, and looked at him. Her gaze wasn't cold, but there was an invisible distance between them. I'm fine, just a little tired, she replied simply, though her voice couldn't quite mask the emptiness inside. Hung felt it deeply. He knew she was disappointed. And who could blame her? So many promises, so many times he'd asked for more time only to fall silent again. Trust, no matter how strong, eventually wears thin. He hesitated for a moment, then said softly, I know. You've been through a lot. And I know you no longer put much faith in my promises like you once did. But this time, I'm here to tell you for certain things are almost done. Just a few final steps. I just ask that you stay here with Tony and Babe a few more days. He bowed his head, voice sincere. I promise this time I won't let you and our son wait anymore. I'll bring you both home to the life we dreamed of. Hoài Ca didn't reply right away. She turned away, eyes gazing out toward the yard, where wild chrysanthemums swayed gently in the breeze. A quiet pause lingered, as if the world held its breath waiting for her answer. Finally she sighed, soft but deep. Hung. I don't expect anything grand anymore. I just want a peaceful place for Tony, and someone brave enough to stay with us until the very end. If you still want to keep your promise, then I'll wait. Just a few more days. Hung nodded, a glimmer of hope lighting in his eyes. He knew as long as she still had enough trust to give him this one small chance, he couldn't let go. They sat together on the porch. The ginger tea on the table had long gone cold, but the tension between them had eased. They talked about Tony, how the boy had recently learned a new poem, how he could now fold his own clothes, how he'd told Babe he would help cook once they moved to their new home. Small stories, but enough to soften Hoài Ca's gaze and lighten her heart. Before Hung left, he turned and looked deep into her eyes. "I'll be back soon. And next time, it won't just be a visit." Hoài Ca didn't answer, but gave a small nod. She stood watching as his figure slowly disappeared down the dusty path, her heart both warming and tightening at once. Inside the house, Babe had quietly witnessed everything. She stepped out and handed Hoài Ca a damp cloth. "Wipe your face, dear." Poor thing. Love's never easy. I really hope this time he means what he says. Hoài Ca looked at her and forced a faint smile. "I hope so too. But I don't dare believe too much anymore, Ba. Promises are beautiful, but only actions can make someone stay." Babe nodded slowly, her eyes distant. "That's true. Hung's a good boy, kind-hearted, but he's being pulled from too many directions. Just keep your heart steady, but don't give up hope completely. A good man, if he truly repents and tries, is worth waiting for just once more." Hoài Ca wrapped her arms around herself as the evening wind swept by, cool and sharp. Something stirred quietly within her. Not as fiercely as before, but still there was a flicker of fragile faith. She turned to look at the small house where Tony would soon return from school, where Babe still cooked dinner every night, and now, where she would wait for a promise to be fulfilled. This time, even the audience holds its breath, because everyone knows words are easy, action is what matters. So will Hung keep his promise and bring Hoài Ca and her son home? Let's wait and see what happens next.
Nhưng khoảnh khắc quan trọng nhất đối với tôi, với tư cách là khán giả, là khi Hoài Ca cuối cùng cũng bắt đầu chấp nhận rằng tương lai của cô có thể khác với quá khứ. Có điều gì đó vô cùng mạnh mẽ khi nhận ra rằng bạn không cần phải tự định nghĩa bởi chấn thương của mình. Hành trình của Hoài Ca là lời nhắc rằng dù quá khứ của chúng ta có khó khăn đến đâu, tương lai vẫn có vô số khả năng để tái tạo. Cô đã phải đối mặt với rất nhiều điều, nhưng cuối cùng cô đã chọn tiến lên về phía trước, không phải vì sợ cay đắng mà là với sức mạnh và sự cởi mở. Điểm bước ngoặt trong câu chuyện của cô không chỉ là việc chữa lành vết thương của cô, mà có sự chấp nhận một sự khởi đầu mới. Cô không còn níu kéo quá khứ nữa, thay vào đó cô đang nắm tay một tương lai có thể tràn đầy tình yêu, hy vọng và sự đổi mới. Chương mới này không hề dễ dàng đối với Hoài Ca, và cô vẫn còn một chặng đường dài phía trước, nhưng thực tế là cô có thể nhìn thấy khả năng có điều gì đó tốt, đẹp hơn, và rằng cô có thể tin tưởng bản thân đủ để xây dựng lại. Đó là một kết thúc đẹp cho câu chuyện của cô.